Hello and welcome to my kitchen. That's right, it's Thursday again and I'm here to cook for you. Well, actually, I'm not doing a lot of cooking today. I'm doing a lot of blending because I'm making dips. So I've got two recipes for you today. So we're going to get into it and they're going to be out of this fabulous book, book number 7. And I'm making these two dips. That's right, these are so on trend right now, so why wouldn't you want to make them? Don't be buying them. You've got the roasted pumpkin and cashew dip, and then you've got the beetroot dip. So I'm going to make both of them for you today, and I've got to talk about an ingredient that's been discontinued as well. So lots happening on the show today. So first of all, let's talk about last week's winners. Yes, Gail Reynolds. Hi Gail, you were very happy to get the Cooking for 1 or 2 cookbooks. Sandy Conroy and Brooke Russ. They were the winners, personally signed books in the mail today for you. And of course, I will be giving away later in the show. But for now, it's all about dips because hello, what's happening in just over a month? It's called Christmas, and these are perfect for socializing right now because I'm getting lots of invitations. I feel people are really doing Christmas parties quite early. I think we've all learned, don't leave it till too close to Christmas. So let's make the beetroot dip first. Now what the ingredients you need for that is you'll start with the cottage cheese because this is the base in a lot of my dips. So you want 250 grams of the low-fat cottage cheese. Now straight away, if you've been looking for cottage cheese like we have, you'll realise that there is a shortage on cottage cheese in Australia. So I'm going to talk about that while I'm blending. Oh no, maybe I shouldn't because it might be a bit noisy. So we got ours from IGA. IGA have got their own brand, low fat, in a 500 gram tub, which so we've used it using the two, and it freezes really well, cottage cheese. It lasts in the fridge a while, so you know you don't be worried about buying 500 grams because I've got some other great recipes I'll tell you about later. Woolworths, Coles, I don't know whether they're going to stock them yet. They're just not being able to get them, but you could check anyway. So you want the plain though, okay? You want the plain cottage cheese and low fat always. So what I'm going to do is I've got a tablespoon of fresh coriander chopped up. It's really important when I say fresh that you use fresh and not dried because it really needs it for that particular recipe. And I think with coriander, if you've got a bunch of coriander, I've got so many recipes where you use coriander in it. So look through the books and use up the herbs so you know you're not wasting your money. I've also got 2 teaspoons of fresh lemon juice. Don't use the bought one, please, use fresh. We're going to use in it the cumin. Now that's 1/4 teaspoon of cumin, dried, ground cumin. We're going to use 1/8 teaspoon of pepper. We've got 2 teaspoons of vegetable stock powder. I like the Marcel because it's lower in salt and it's gluten-free. You could use any of them if you're not vegetarian, like if you're not worried about being vegetarian or whatever, but I like to keep it as a veggie one for the dips. Also 1 teaspoon of garlic. All right, so let's get started. So if you've just joined me, we're in the kitchen making dips, honey. That's right. We're making the roasted pumpkin and cashew dip, and right now I'm making for you the beetroot dip. Who doesn't love a beetroot dip? And you know what I find is they can be quite expensive if you buy them in the shops. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to change this from looking like baby chuck to smooth and silky. Now I'm making the dips, one with the blender or the food processor and one using the stick because I think sometimes we don't always have all the equipment, and you can buy these sticks in Kmart for super cheap. I've got the good old Breville, I've had it for 100 years. But what happens when you blend it, whether it's with the stick or in the food processor, look what happens to it. It becomes smooth. And I mean, it looks like whipped cream. So that's what I like. I discovered this when I was making cheesecakes and I couldn't believe it. Now, what I'm going to put in here now, let me just put this down for a second. I have prepped up my beetroot, all right? So what I've done is I've used a 425 gram can of sliced beetroot. Now, the key here is to take all the moisture out of the beetroot. So if you're wondering what this thing is here, this is my beetroot that I've prepped ahead. So what you do is you get your paper towel, a couple of layers, put it down. You've drained and shaken off as much liquid as you can of the beetroot, and then you lay it down on the paper towel. Now you might want to use gloves if it's you're worried about staining your fingers, but you just lay it all down, and then you put another layer, couple of layers of the paper towel over the top, and then press it down really quite firmly. So look at all the juice that I got out of that extra. So this is my beetroot. Now I'm going to put the beetroot in, because otherwise if you don't drain it well enough, it'll be too runny, and we don't want that. I've never tried it with fresh beetroot. I've always used the can because, it's really easy. It's like a 1-star rating on difficulty. And so you don't have the excuse of, I haven't got time to make fresh dips. Yes, you can, because you know what? You get a good amount, and it's so much cheaper than the store-bought. Plus, they can be really high in fat. So I'm going to put the beetroot in and a teaspoon of garlic. And you just blend it. That's right. All right, so don't wear white, just in case you get a bit of flicking. That's all you have to do. A traditional beetroot dip is probably about 8 grams of fat for a couple of spoons. My way is 0.3. I know. How good is that? That's looking fantastic. Look at the beetroot dip. Now, what I need to do is hope that that's going to stay there. All right, so I need to put in now 2 teaspoons of stock powder. That's it. Oh, I want 1/8 of a teaspoon of pepper. So this is where my spoons are really handy. If you haven't got them, you're missing out, because it's a bit hard to measure 1/8. I move it along a bit, put some pepper in, and then go to the 1/4 and level that out. Perfect. And 1/4 of a teaspoon of ground cumin. There we go. So we're going to mix that in. Now you'd refrigerate this for probably a couple of hours before the party, if you can, because then it'll just be a bit firmer. But now all I've got to do is add in the lemon juice, the coriander. Oh, let me just get that out. And people love beetroot dip. I mean, we're Aussies, we love anything with beetroot. So why not? Make sure you get all the edges. I'm just going to scrape it down. You want to make sure you haven't got any bits of the lumpier part of the cottage cheese. There we go. That's it. And it's funny, some beetroot, sometimes it's much higher in colour than others. So you just never know. I really like the Golden Circle brand. That's what I always use, and I mentioned that in the recipe. But you can use whatever beetroot can you like. All right, so let's leave that over here right now, and I'm going to move this all out of the way because we're going to do the roasted pumpkin one. I mean, hello, that was one dip done. I mean, it didn't take any time at all. Wash my little hands. I need the stock powder and the garlic over here. This is all done. Let me clean up my little kitchen. Now, if you've just joined me, I'm making dips. Hello, you're welcome. We're going into the most social time of the year, and I've just done the beetroot dip. Hello, there it is. Look at that. Gorgeous. Now, look how much it makes. It makes a really good quantity, and it's out of book 7. So here's the recipe. There it is, difficult rating 1, and now we're going to whip over to do the roasted pumpkin, which is a bit fabulous. I know, so let's bring the blender over, or the food processor I should say. Now, with this one, we need a teaspoon of garlic, 2 teaspoons of stock powder. We need 1/2 teaspoon of coriander. Now, the thing is, it's ground, and I say in the recipe ground. Please use ground. There's a leafy one you can buy. Never use that. Forget that. It's the ground. Now, if I say coriander fresh, I don't mean dried leaves. I mean what we used, the beautiful green leaves in the beetroot. All right, so we want some pepper, ground pepper, 250 grams of cottage cheese. We want 2 teaspoons of the fresh lemon juice, a third a cup, and I want you to buy the unsalted cashews. That's really important, but yeah, they're good for this recipe. And then we're going to do the pumpkin. Now, I did do this ahead, and it's 400 grams of Kent. Okay, so what I did was I sprayed the pan, I chopped them up into a little bit, it's quite small. If you look here, you can see they're quite small because I want that roasted flavour to come into this dip. And I did it longer than the 30 minutes I said because some pumpkins can be a lot of moisture in them. And I really like to get that roasted flavour as much as I can. So let's when you do it, do lots of the brown, make sure it's browned. And then you sprinkle the rosemary over the top. And the rosemary is a half a teaspoon, if I remember. And you sprinkle that on, spray it again in the oven, bake it, I think it's 200 degrees, yeah, 200 degrees fan force, about 30 minutes or so, and then leave it to cool, okay? And we put that in pretty well at the end. All right, so what we're going to start with is the cottage cheese. So remember, it's 250 grams. Now, when you're making this, I've got to tell you, I've got lots of dips, but these ones are like so fabulous. And the great news is they can be frozen. I know, you could freeze, if you say you wanted to be ahead of time and make some dips up before Christmas for the Christmas Day or something, make them a week or two before and it'll be fine. So you beat it up until, remember, we don't want baby truck, we want smooth. And if you like this type of idea, go to book 3, because in book 3 I have done a sweet cream and a sour cream. And that's using what I'm doing right now, so it's all lovely and smooth. It's just, I always think it's a good idea to make sure you're getting all of it off the edges and down on the base. And what happens is with the sweet cream, you put a little bit of vanilla essence, a little bit of sugar, and with the sour cream, you put lemon juice in. I know, so I had that with tacos, you know, on the top. It's fabulous. You really should try them. That's book 3. But these are out of book 7, the 2 dips I'm doing today. Okay, now what we do is we're going to add in some garlic, and they keep in the fridge for a while as well, so you know, they're really good to have on hand. I tell you, we want 2 teaspoons of the stock powder. What's your favourite dip? Tell me in the comments. I'd love to know, what is your ultimate? Like, I mean, in the olden days, you know, back when I was a wee gal, it was French onion dip all the way, all the way. But, you know, there's a lot of new ones out nowadays. I'm going to do half a teaspoon of the ground coriander, 2 teaspoons of the lemon juice, and we will just give that a zhuzh. And you can see the garlic's flipped up to the side. So this is where I want you to come in, use your scraper. Get it all in. That's it. I'm going to throw in the cashews now. Oh, nearly lost the thing. That's a third a cup unsalted cashews. And it's about getting in and mixing it all up, you know, just really get in there and make sure everything gets blended really well. It doesn't hurt if you've got like a little bit of the cashews in. You don't want big chunks of it. Okay, so just let's get that blended. I probably should have done this in the smaller one so it really gets in a bit easier because it's not a huge amount of mix. All right, so let's blend it again. And now all I've got to do is the pumpkin. There we go. This has, normally the dip would be about 10 grams of fat. Yeah, my weight, 1.5. I know. Yum. All right, so let's just scrape that pumpkin in. Where's my little scraper here? Let's get that in the blender. Just make sure the pumpkin's cool. You don't want to do it hot in the machine. You want to have it all cool. I just leave it on the bench, and then when I'm ready, it's good to go. All right. How hard is this? Hello, it's super, super easy. Oh, hello, get in there. All right, so we just blend that, and I want to talk to you about the other dips that I have in the books. Book 3 has the Mexican dip, which is phenomenal. You've also got book 4, which has a bucket load of dips because it's got actually a party food section, which at this time of the year is just ideal. And don't forget that, you know, this is good for all year round. You don't have to wait till Christmas to enjoy this sort of gorgeous food. That's looking, oh, it smells divine. And the other ones that, of course, these are in book 7. Let me get it on. This is in book 7, as well as an Italian layered dip, which is kind of a takeoff of the Mexican dip, and I love it. All right. We are looking good. Okay, so what is your favourite dip? A couple of people are saying the corn relish. Got you covered, book 4, thank you very much. And that's super easy because all you do is do the cottage cheese and put the corn relish jar mixture in with it and blend it. So you're going to love that. Yeah. I've got French onion, I've got tuna, I've got cheese and chive. Like there's so many fabulous hummus. Okay, so now I'm going to scrape all this mix out. I'm going to be a bit finer with it later. And I'm going to put it, I've already got my party plate ready to go. So let's have a look. Here we go. Woohoo! There is my party plate ready. See, I've got my cucumber, carrots, and I'm obsessed with the little baby cucumbers. I cut them into half and then 3, so I've got 6 of them, and they're just perfect for dipping. Love it. So I don't know if you've seen them, but I just thought I'd show you. Now let's talk crunchy dippers. Now they've actually discontinued the wholemeal Sorge wraps. So I've had to recreate the recipe, but you'll be pleased to know it's just as good and fabulous. And here we are, I've got some ready in the bowl, and this is the replacement. Now when I reprint book 7, I will make sure this goes in, but for you right now, you get first-hand details, and it's the Helga wrap, and it's the mixed grain, and what you do with that is it's a round wrap, whereas the other one was like oblong. So you will get little bits where it's sort of on the corner. Okay. So like, see how that's sort of like got a corner thing, but what the heck? It's the best one. I tried them all, and some of them weren't very nice, I've got to say. But this is perfect for what we have. Now, let's serve it up. Oh, look at that cashew dip. Yes, please. Bring on the party. People are going to be so impressed with you this Christmas because you've got so many great recipes, because I'll be actually cooking next week a recipe that's so perfect for Christmas. Yes, I will. Okay, so there's your dip. Let's try putting this in now. And really, they should go in the fridge for a little bit, but that's okay. There's the beetroot dip. How fabulous does it look? Now, when you buy the beetroot dip, I don't know how much it is. It's ridiculous. You get this little tiny tub. No, do it this way, and look how much you've got. Perfect. Yeah, I'll feed an army. I always like a spoon in, because that way then I can be a little bit polite. So there you go. There is my roasted pumpkin cashew dip, my beetroot dip. I mean, who knew weight loss could be so deliciously healthy? I mean, go to simply2good.com.au for any more ideas. Don't forget about make the change for the crunchy dippers. Now, who would like to win book 7? Why wouldn't you? You've got 3 fabulous recipes here that I've made, boom, 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 out of this book. So if you would like to win book 7, you know what you got to do. It's called like, share, and then in the comments, let me get my little thing. In the comments, you write hashtag Symply #2 good. That's right, hashtag Symply #2 good. And remember, you can freeze it. Like if you have some left over, you can always freeze it if you don't need it and bring it out a couple of months later even, and they're fine. So thanks for joining me. Next week, remember, it's going to be a Christmas recipe, and it's my version of a healthy white Christmas. As healthy as I can get. I mean, you're going to love it. So thanks for joining me, and I'll catch you next week. Bye.